Hello, I am Cameron Smith of AHS-TV, and today I'm joined with Mr. Coyle to talk about the impact of seasons of the year. But before we get into it, our own Quinn Wise took the halls of AHS to take a closer look.
We took to the halls of AHS to see what the students had to say.
Who am I here with?
Graydon Sheasley.
Carter Lash.
Donovan Hutchins.
Jesse Ice.
And Graydon, what is your favorite season?
I think it kind of depends. I like to say that my favorite season is winter when it's the summer, and my favorite season is summer when it's the winter, but I think I'm just an enjoyer of all seasons.
Yeah, and can you tell us why all seasons are so great?
I think the summer has its benefits. You get light all the time. It's light until like 9 p.m. You can really wear, whatever you want. And it's kind of nice. You go swimming, go to the beach, just chill, that kind of thing.
Oh, you got 4 seasons. You got spring, summer, fall, winter. There's many great aspects of each season. They're all wonderful seasons. With spring, you got rain, you got flowers coming out. Summer, it's summer. Everyone loves summer. Fall, the leaves are down. It's autumn. Who doesn't love that? And then winter, you got the snow. When we were little, you could play in the snow. That was wonderful. So, it really boils down to personal liking, which I probably have to go with fall or spring, but then you got to pick one. And out of those two, it's so hard to decide because I love the spring. I love the rain. I love, the flowers, just everything comes to life. The buds, my birthday's in spring, so give me spring.
Winter.
Why?
Winter's really nice because I really like the snow. It's a really nice season. Snow, I really like cold weather, so it's nice to cuddle up in a blanket and wear some nice PJs. Also, wintertime has some great holidays like Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving would fall in just wintertime. It also has Christmas and Christmas Eve and Hanukkah, if you celebrate that. And I just feel like winter is all around amazing season because of the white snow. You can get some really nice views and the really bright days. It's always nice and cold. Sometimes you can go outside and play with snow. You can build a snowman. You can make snow angels. Winter is just a great time of the year, and it's just my favorite season.
And do you think school affects your choice in seasons?
It kind of depends. I guess because I like school. I don't hate school, but it is nice to be off school in the summer. It's a nice getaway.
Yeah.
Kind of because we don't have school in the summer, so I like it a lot.
School absolutely does affect my choice, especially with the constant breaks and stuff, because school is really big in winter because we have our really long Christmas break, and during winter time it can snow a lot and get ice on the roads, and that can cause school to get canceled and have FID days. So yeah, school does definitely affect it because a lot of the time in winter I can get out of school longer.
And if you had to pick a least favorite season, what would you pick?
My least favorite season is probably spring, just because of all the rain.
Oh, that's even tougher question because I love all seasons. I love life and I love our earth. It's incredible. But I almost I was pulling out, so I was stopped at a stop sign, turned left. I wasn't in 4-wheel drive, nearly wrecked, but we're all good. I can steer the car, and so let me go with winter.
Ooh, least favorite. I would say summer, but summer's great because of summer break. So least favorite season would probably be fall, because I don't like all the leaves falling, having to rake leaves and blow leaves, and it's just not the best time of year. Also, Halloween's good, but I'm just not really crazy about fall because of the change in weather. Some days can be stupid hot, some days can be really, really cold, and just leaves falling everywhere and trees and everything falling and just all the pollen in the air and everything. It's not the best season for me.
And lastly, how do you feel about Punxsutawney Phil?
I love Punxsutawney Phil, and I love Bill Murray.
Punxsutawney Phil, he's a very controversial figure because, some people love more winter and some people hate it. Personally, I think that we should do away with Punxsutawney Phil because it's just, why are we going off of a groundhog? Let's go off of me.
I think he's a fake and a fraud. He always sees a shadow, and if we want change, we need to impeach Punxsutawney Phil. And we should go get a different animal that's cooler, like a dog.
Punxsutawney Phil. Love that guy.
Next, we go to Jonathan Friedman for Johnny on the Spot.
Are we rolling? Hi, I'm Jonathan Freeman, and this is Johnny on the Spot. Today, we will not only be walking the halls here at AHS, but a brief lesson on Earth Day and its unappreciated fellows. Earth Day is on April 22nd, and it is a day of action. This day of action is used to take care of our planet and bring awareness to it, because our climate might slightly be getting worse by the year. Don't quote me on that. Like I said, I want to talk about its unappreciated fellows, and by that I mean our furry and more rock-solid friends. So, let's start with Jonathan the Tortoise. Most people should know him, because I know him. Us Jonathans have to stick together. Now, he is 193 years old. He was born in 1832, and his official birthday was given to him by Nigel Phillips of St. Helena as December 4th, 1832. And without proper care from St. Helena, we would probably not have him here today. It is important for people to realize that Earth Day is not just a day of a single action a year. It should be used almost every year because, like I said, it's pretty important to take care of our animals and our climate. Now let's move on to a furry friend of ours. Fatu is a 69-year-old gorilla who is currently the oldest alive gorilla in captivity. She celebrated her 69th birthday at the Berlin Zoo, and her story is quite crazy, actually. A French sailor went to Africa, took her, went back to France, and used her to cover his bar tab, or that's what the story says. That's quite the origin story, and if I was her, I would maybe brag a little bit. Now, like I said, we got to take care of our animals. She has arthritis, bad hearing, bad vision. Without proper care, she would probably not be here with us today. So take action all year round. Well, I'm Jonathan Freeman, and this was Johnny on the Spot. Thank you.
We got the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Swanson to get his thoughts on the matter.
Mr. Swanson, what is your favorite and least favorite season?
My favorite season is without a doubt autumn or fall. Absolutely love it. My least favorite season is probably spring, insofar as we don't really have much of a spring. It's just like dirty and muddy, and then all of a sudden it's summer.
And how do those seasons affect you?
Fall just makes me happy. Something about fall, I like sweatshirt weather. I like the changing of the leaves. I like the freshness in the air. You kind of like the bite in the air. I like Halloween. Just everything about it feels cozy and welcoming, but at the same time adventurous. Like, I think fall's probably my favorite time to go out and go like hiking or walking or bike riding or something like that. My least favorite, I already said is spring. In terms of affecting me, I'd say winter drags on a little bit. You know, I really enjoy winter from about Thanksgiving until probably mid-January, and then I tend to be over it.
Do you think being in Pennsylvania affects those choices?
Oh, without a doubt. I think Pennsylvania, the Northeast in general, when you get into like fall foliage and stuff like that, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And it is interesting to me. You know, they say you don't appreciate what's in your own backyard, or the grass is always greener. People come, like I have family that lived in Texas for years, and friends of theirs have come up to visit them since they've moved back, are just amazed at our hills and the fall foliage and stuff like that. Like, people actually come from all over the country to see what we take for granted. So I do think that we do take that for granted. And I think the same is also probably true for spring. I don't think we have much of a spring in Pennsylvania. You know, we kind of have that end of winter, into spring thing, like right now, where it's just cold and wet and miserable.
Yeah,
and
gloomy.
And then all of a sudden it's just wet but not so miserable, and then it's summer. I think that's kind of unique to Pennsylvania.
Do you think there's a definitive best season?
I think fall, personally. But if I'm being objectively about it, I'd probably have to say summer, except when there is such a thing as being too hot. And for me personally, I'd rather be too cold than too hot.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you can always layer up, you know.
Exactly.
Can always get warm somehow.
Yeah,
so.
there's a way to warm yourself up. There's not always a way to cool yourself off.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, how do you feel about Punxsutawney Phil?
Well, Quinn, when I was a junior and senior in high school, we went to see Punxsutawney Phil both years in a row. And back in the day, it was kind of wild. There were fraternities and sororities from all over the country. I distinctly remember a sorority from Notre Dame my junior year of high school, being there and getting up on the platform with Phil. I know the one year, I think it was my senior year, they estimated over 50,000 people. And it was an insane time, especially to be a high school kid in what was essence mostly just college kids from literally all over the country. But Punxsutawney Phil, I think, is neat. I'm a big fan of the movie. I don't think it's necessarily that good. There's a diner out near Blairsville, Pennsylvania called Dean's Diner, and I remember one year they had on their marquee Death to the Groundhog. So I don't hate that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Swanson.
Thank you, Quinn.
Well, there you have it, folks. Straight from the Hawk's beak.
Your future beckons, calling from a place where there's plenty of room to grow, where possibilities are abundant, where you'll be challenged every day to uncover the best version of you, where you can blossom. The place, IUP. Here, like the clusters of oaks in our renowned oak grove, we're united in helping you reach new heights. Ready to heed the call? Get in the grove at IUP.
For those of you just joining us, I'm Cameron Smith of AHS-TV, and I'm joined now in the studio by Mr. Coyle to talk about the impact of seasons of the year. Would you please tell us a little about yourself for the viewers?
Sure. Mr. Coyle, I've been teaching at Armstrong here since it opened. Got 22 years in the district, and most of you will see me when you are juniors and seniors for economics.
All right, my first question is, how are you doing today?
Not bad, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I think it could be a little bit better, but, you know, I think I'm doing okay. Did you enjoy the snow that we got mid-January?
Enjoy's a relative term. I enjoyed being around my family the few extra days in there, but I spent a lot of time outside. I have a farm, I raise a lot of animals up there, and still had to go outside and take care of those in it.
I mean, you can't complain about not having school, but I mean, I know you guys have to.
Well, we still have school.
You do
we
have
have
to
work
do
to
a
do.
little bit, but
Yeah.
not as much as or not as little as we have to do, I should say. Is there anything outside of school that is there anything outside of school that you do that relates to weather?
There is. Again, I raise animals. I have cattle and sheep, so I spend a lot of time outside taking care of them. Snow or not, you got to get the feed to them, and you have to make sure that they're protected from the wind, and you get to go outside to be in the wind to do that.
That's fair. How does each season directly affect you?
Different times of the year, I have different things going on with the animals out there. Like right now, here we are in March, and it's lambing season for me. So I've had 24 lambs out there the last couple weeks, which with the weather we've had, you can understand that's not been fun the whole time.
No.
Other times of the year when the weather's good and the grass is growing well and they're feeding on their own, there's not a whole lot to do with them.
And do you think that there's a definitive best season for positive mental health?
For mental health, I think it depends on the person. I like spring,
Yeah.
because everything is growing back and it's just kind of like a new rebirth going on out there, and it puts me in a good mood when I see the trees growing back again.
I mean, I know people like say seasonal depression and stuff like that, and that usually occurs around winter. But I feel like it also can occur for summer too. But like honestly, I feel like summer is whenever you have the most positive attitude.
I think it's because you're interacting with a lot more people than in an environment of your choice than as opposed to being told where you have to be and what you're talking about.
Like in school and such as well, yeah.
Yeah.
How does the season? Do you think the seasons affect the economy?
I do. If you think of the idea of the cyclical economy, different things starting different times of the year, a lot of jobs don't occur over the winter time.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of roofs going on in the middle of winter, road construction, things of that nature are usually more starting in the spring, heavy into the summer and into the fall. So I think the economy does tend to pick up with the change of the year here.
See, me personally, I work at a small ice cream shop, Speedy's. I don't know if you know
I do.
that. But we're open like from March to like the beginning of October. So I'm out of a job for like maybe 2 months. But that's my own personal experience with that. And I understand you're a rancher. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Sure. My wife and I live above Templeton, if you know where that's at. We have about 40 acres of pasture up there.
Yeah.
We raise cattle and sheep predominantly. We have a few chickens mixed in there. Who doesn't if you have a farm of any kind? But sheep are the main focus up there.
Yeah. How important is the weather for things like ranching?
It's very important. Obviously, in the wintertime, it becomes a lot more expensive because you have to feed, so any hay you had or have to purchase for that. When the weather changes, the grasses get growing, so your expenses go down. With that, this time of year is a little rough, though, because you're in what we call mud season right now.
Yeah.
That whole transition, so getting equipment in and out of the field is a little damaging to the fields, too.
I mean, and it's cold too.
It's still cold,
Yeah.
but it's not as bad as it was.
Honestly, a question I have is, do you think like the raise and like lowering of temperatures like affects the animals?
It does. It'll change their behavior a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're like us. They don't like to be out and blowing wind, so they'll tend to be into their shelters, or you'll see them. They want to go out and eat, so they're around the bale, but they're on the leeward side of the bale to try to stay out of the wind.
Yeah.
They're a lot more active when the weather's nice.
What is your personal favorite season?
My personal favorite season, I probably would stay with spring here. I enjoy the change and the farm coming back to life, things greening up again. That being said, I also do enjoy a nice crisp fall too, because during the day you can be active and you're not too cold, but you get that little bit of a bite in the air and you know the change is coming.
Yeah. What is your least favorite season, would you say?
Least favorite, probably the middle of winter, because you're more confined to what you can do. I like to be outside.
Yeah.
And it's just not pleasant to be outside a lot of the time.
And do you still find good things about the season that you don't like?
I do. Even in winter, when we get even an ice storm. Yeah, it's dangerous to drive in and it closes school and things, but honestly, it's quite beautiful to see it on the trees. So you have to find the pleasure in the small things when it comes to it.
And also, you still have like weeks such as in mid-January where we have a week off of school. So, yeah.
There's good and bad with them, you could say, yes.
Can you work around disadvantages of the season or of the seasons you like less?
You can. You just have to be intentional with it. If we know that we're going to be stuck inside, then you plan on doing things. You invite people over. You break up the monotony of it, just to not get into that depressive mindset that we tend to fall into when we're stuck inside.
Yeah. Do you think each season has a reason to occur?
I do. I mean, so there's a scientific logic to how it's happening there, and because that's been going on forever. They think of fruit trees. They need so many days below a certain temperature to store up the energy to actually fruit the following year. So without like that nice cold winter in there, you wouldn't have your peaches and pears and so on.
Yeah. What places on or near the equator that don't experience all seasons, like how does that affect?
I think they've just evolved differently at that point, where you don't expect the major fluctuations, that you have the more constant warm and wetter environment there. We're obviously just not used to that around here, but if you grew up in that environment or if you moved there, it would become more natural to you.
Is the climate people live in a reason for them to dislike seasons more?
I can see that. I know a lot of people that really don't like wintertime. Look at the number of people from our area, especially when they are able to, when they've retired, that head south to Florida or someplace like that to spend the winter, the snowbirds, and then come back. And they look forward to that because they despise that cold snap in there.
How does growing up in this climate affect your choices?
I think it affects where you want to travel at in life.
Yeah.
We hopefully get the opportunities to go to other climates to experience them. Particularly, it's nice to get away from here when it's the seasons we don't enjoy, to head south usually for something warmer.
Yeah, like you said about snowbirds, most people want to get out of here and get somewhere warm.
Right.
Is there, what are the changes in weather that you've noticed from when you were growing up until now?
I wouldn't say that they've changed. It's your perception of it.
Yeah.
I lived through the blizzard in '93. I was in high school.
I've heard a lot about that.
I was in high school when that happened, and we missed over a week of school at that point. But even when you're younger than that, when you're shorter, when you're smaller, 6 inches of snow looks like a lot more to you than it does now. So people tend to look back and go, "Oh, it was so much worse then. We got so much more snow." I don't think we really did. It just, we perceived it differently.
See, my mom came across a Facebook post the other day with like talking about the storm, like the storm of '93.
Yeah.
And like how much snow they got, and she was telling me that it was honestly more impressive than this one because of like they didn't close schools as regularly as they do today.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I remember the blizzard in '93. The snow drifts were as high as the gutter on the first level of my parents' house growing up. And the issue was it just kept blowing around, so
Yeah.
it'd open the road and it'd blow back over there. But when you're a kid, it just feels different.
Yeah. It feels better because no school.
Well, you don't have the adult responsibilities of like, oh, I have to go to work.
Yeah, that too. Is there a better choice between hot and cold seasons, do you think?
I think that's preference. I prefer cool because summertime, if you're out and you're working, I mean, there's only so much you can do to cool off, where in the wintertime, you can actively stay out of
Layer
the
up.
wind, add layers,
Yeah.
and do what you need to do there.
See, a question that like I've come across is like, would you rather be stuck in like the Antarctic or like the Sahara Desert?
Uh-huh.
And my personal preference would be stuck in the Arctic because you could have layers, as opposed to being stuck in the Sahara. You can't really do anything other than like just kind of sit there and suffer.
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Do you think it is more important to socialize during the winter?
I do, because we tend to be less active. We tend to leave the house less often, and we're social creatures. We
Yeah.
need that human interaction. Yeah, we do things through whatever social media we tend to use now, but that face-to-face interaction you can't replace for your mental health.
Yeah. And what role does seasonal depression have?
Again, I think it comes back to those seasons where, like winter, where we can't get out and interact. But if we're aware of it, we can plan for it and try to mitigate it as much as we can.
All right. Lastly, how do you feel about Punxsutawney Phil?
Oh, everyone's favorite groundhog. I think it's a fun tradition, but completely meaningless in actual weather forecasting.
Well, that's all for this segment of Best of the Nest. I'd like to thank Mr. Coyle for joining me today to talk about the impact of weather. I'm Cameron Smith of AHS-TV, and until next time, from our nest to yours, keep on soaring.